Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is George Wolf. I'm Lower Paxton Township's manager, and I will briefly summarize tonight's business meeting agenda as the supervisors take the podium and prepare to conduct business. This evening, we will begin with some informational, ceremonial type stuff. Lower Paxton Township and its public officials participated in the Pennsylvania State Association of Township Supervisors annual training seminars and trade show last week, and several members of Lower Paxton Township were recognized at that event. After our ceremonial activities, there is one item of old business. That's action on an agreement with Raftellus Financial Services for a Phase 2 study for the establishment of a stormwater fee. Under new business, there is action on proposals for the survey, design, and construction inspection of ADA curb ramps for the BC2 A and B and the BC5B sanitary sewer mini basement project. And then there will be action on bids for the 2018 stormwater project. Under subdivision land development, we have a declaration of consolidation of previously subdivided lots at 6900 Blue Ridge Avenue. After that, the board will act on improvement guarantees and pay bills. That completes my summary of tonight's business meeting agenda. The supervisors are at the podium and ready to conduct business.
We'll call this meeting of the Lower Paxton Township Board of Supervisors to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to be led by Mr. Judd. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have before us approval of the minutes of the meeting of January 9th, 2018. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Mr. Chairman, I'll move we approve the minutes of January the 9th, 2018 as prepared and circulated.
Is there a second?
I'll second. Oh, go ahead.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Prior to this meeting, the Board of Supervisors met. We received information from the township manager, and the board was in executive session. We spent our time discussing employee personnel matters. At this point, the microphone is now available for any member of the public who would like to address the board on a matter not on the agenda. If you want to talk about a matter on the agenda, we'll do that at the time that we arrive at that point. But if it's not on the agenda, you may come to the podium, please, and give us your name and address.
Good evening, board members and staff.
Good evening.
My name is George Bass, and I reside at 106 Heather Drive. I'm going to read my notes, if you please. This is my first time at a township board meeting, and I'll be brief and accurate as possible with the concern that brings me here in person. I normally try to communicate concerns and questions via the internet with little or no success, as public figures normally don't answer or spin it. So that's why I'm here. My concern is the inequality in the sewer billing system charges to a household where the billing rate has once again been raised $5 per quarter, effective April 1 of this year, to now a standard $153 per quarter. I would at this point like to give some background as to why I find this billing rate to be unfair to some homeowners in the township and truly more favorable to others. I'm a retired IT professional who had a career for over 4 decades with at least half as an IT consultant. During this period, I was assigned off and on duties to the Derry Township Municipal Authority, wastewater treatment facility, for some 10 years or more. During that time, part of my duties were modifications and or enhancements to the sewer billing system, of which, in my opinion, the billing was fair and equitable. I then researched the billing rates currently for the Derry Township Municipal Authority, and as of March of this year, a flat fee of $11.80 per month and a $5.60 per 1,000 gallons of water is billed to metered customers. Unmetered customers are charged, i.e. well customers, are charged $43 flat rate fee per month. I then summarized my water consumption for the period January through March of this year, which equated to 12,000 gallons. Using the Dairy Township Municipal Authority fair rate system, my sewer bill for the 3-month period of January through March would have been $102.60 versus the $148 that was billed for that period. Assuming my water consumption stays equal, this is going to save me $50.60 per quarter currently, for an annual savings of $202.40 versus the way you bill. Going up my street, well, as soon as you turn on my street, I value the first 12 households. There's 7 single occupants, 3 double occupants, and 2 with 2 or more occupants. Also, some of these single occupants work, in which case they're not at home for a large part of the day. Do you think they put $153 worth of water into the sewer system? What about households that have 3, 4, or more occupants? What is billing more? Who's putting more into the system? On one other fair note I'd like to inform you of. In Dairy Township, a homeowner at their own expense can install on the rear of their homes a device called a deduct meter. This can be installed at the homeowner's expense, the purpose of which is that water used to water a garden, flower beds, a pool, etc., never hits the sewer system. Thus, that usage is deducted from the meter reading for that which sewer is billed. I'm not asking for the board to not to collect what's required for overall system cost, but rather to cost and bill fairly. Those who put less in the system pay less. Those who put more in pay more. In conclusion, I believe it would be normal for me to perhaps ask for consideration in this matter. However, I believe immediate attention and action be given to this matter. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody have any comments?
I would like to comment that we do have a sewer authority, and I would like you to come on May the 22nd at 7 o'clock, because the sewer authority is the group of people that made the increases that we're going over, because you know we are replacing our sewer.
I understand that.
Right, right. And we don't go on water consumption. We do not.
Dairy Township receives the water meter readings from American Water every month. It's all a system. It comes into the system. Matter of fact, I had to do major changes to it. It comes right into their computer system at Dairy Township, updates the billing, off it goes. Every
So-
month. They bill monthly.
Yeah, so if you could come on May the 22nd, that's when the sewer authority meets, because not everybody sitting on this board is a member of the sewer authority.
Okay.
So May 22nd at 7 o'clock in this room.
Very good.
And that will be able to answer your questions. At that time, we'll have our engineer there, GHD, that represents our sewer authority.
Okay.
Okay?
Very good.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Yep.
Thank you, sir. Any other public comment on an item not on the agenda this evening? Yes, ma'am. Please come to the podium.
As the previous
May
gentleman,
we have your name and address, please?
Beth Radcliffe, 4409 Elba Lane. This is my first time and a little nervous at it.
Could I just ask you?
Relax.
Yeah. Could you pull the mic so we could hear you? Thank you.
Yeah, if you get a little bit close, the mics are, you have to get sort of close to them to be heard.
Oh, I think she must have hit it.
Our water meter is 415 feet from our home. It's installed on Melba Lane, or Marblehead Lane, and we live on Elba Lane. When Suez was installing their new water lines last year, we spoke with a representative from Suez about having the water come down Elba Lane instead of coming from Marblehead down through the trailer park. We also had concerns about our water pressure. He came out and said that we're getting 26 pounds pressure. That's more than sufficient. Well, we don't believe that. It was suggested that we had a new water meter installed. One was installed last August on Marblehead, and in September, our water bill went from 1 to 2,000 gallons usage per month to 6,000 gallons per month. There's 2 of us. The usage stayed at 6,000 gallons until we received our February bill of this year, when it went to 11,000 gallons. We tried to contact Suez about the problem. No response, except there was a leak. I then asked how I can be responsible for a line that's 416 feet away from our residence, and also that the line runs through neighbor's property, and then not sure the location of the line. We measured down Elba Lane. The distance is about 265 feet. I have called Suez again several times in the last 3 months to no avail, except that there is a leak. They promised me that the manager or the department head would give us a call. We have not heard from him at all. When we had some work done in the backyard, we had one call come out. They said that there is a water line running down Elba Lane. And it cost us well over $1,000 the last time that there was a leak, and it wasn't on our property, it was on the neighbors. And they were unhappy that we had to dig up a portion of their yard to fix it. Again, we have a leak. We're not sure where it's at. We are thinking that it's in probably about the same place as it was the last time, but with all the water and the rain, there was no way of knowing until the ground started to dry. So we will be taking care of the leak, but it's on somebody else's property again. And our second concern is the water that runs from the townhomes next door to us. They had put a retention pond in when those townhouses were built. Except in the retention pond, there is a pipe with holes that are inserted the whole way down the pipe, so it does not retain water. The water comes through a 24-inch main into our yard, and nowhere for it to drain out. The drainage on the west side of our home is above ground level, and there's no place for it to drain. So we have a pond every time it rains. That is just something that I wanted to bring to the attention of here, and I appreciate any thoughts, comments, anything that can be done as far as getting in contact with Suez and they returning our calls. I know that one of the ladies did call them. They did respond. Andrea called me back, but that's as far as it went. She promised that this gentleman would call, and he's never has called. Again, I want to thank you for your time and appreciate any input that you may have.
George, could we have somebody on our staff contact Suez? Perhaps if there was an inquiry from the township. The Suez is a private company. The water service is not a municipal service, so we don't own or run the system. But maybe if we called and asked them to send somebody out, not just call, but send somebody out to look at it, and just as a request from us, they might honor it.
We'll do so.
Can we try that and see if that does, at least gets a response for you?
Can I ask the question about the piping? Is the piping ours? Who put it in the retention pond?
The retention pond's part of the private property of the townhomes. It was inspected today. The detention pond is in need of maintenance, and correspondence will be sent
From the township
from the
to-
township to the property owner.
Okay. Did that answer your question? Okay.
So we will be after the property owner to appropriately maintain said pond, retention pond. and a pond that you don't really want to have there. Okay, we'll try those two approaches and let us know whether or not that works. If it doesn't, then we'll see what else we can do. Thank you. Yes, John.
John Trish, 600 Prince Street. I've noticed on the township or the Lower Paxton TV channel, the scroll that's been rolling used to say that the township meetings would be replayed on Thursday and Saturday. Now, for some reason or another, and I want an answer, why it's no longer replayed, number one. Number two, it's no longer replayed, Mr. Henry.
Not at all?
It may be replayed, but not replayed to the extent of the whole meeting. There was, the last meeting that I watched on it, there was no public comment. I recorded it. I want to know why are we changing that? Have we changed it?
To my knowledge, nothing's been changed, and Leanne Urban is shaking her head in the audience. Nothing's been changed.
Nothing's been changed? So our meetings are being replayed at their normal times? Have you tuned in at the times when they're supposed to be?
Absolutely.
So they're not being played
I'm a
Thursday?
dedicated Lower Paxton Township community watcher.
We are aware of that.
I tape it. I've got 9 recordings on my Comcast recordings. Before I transferred from Verizon to Verizon, I had over 100. My point is, there's no reason for any of what's going on here to be not broadcast.
Yeah, we're not doing that. Maybe, do we know for sure that they're airing on the meeting night? I know a couple times we had a little mix-up with
A couple weeks ago.
Verizon.
We had
Do
one week we had an equipment
I
malfunction.
mean, do we know for
Yes.
sure? We know
and
for
I
sure
was up here
that
the
they're-
meeting after that, and my identity was Mr. Judd, because he said, and I quote, I look forward to make sure everybody gets the information they need. And I turned it on, and I happened to be out of town. Now I'm going to be out of town again. And when I come home and I turn on, the problem is, Lower Paxton TV has a 12 or 8 or 10 hour span. So you have to
I know,
record
you
the
can't
whole
just,
span.
you can't just record the meeting.
You
I
can't
know.
record the meeting.
I know.
In the past, you used to say, turn on at 10 o'clock, turn off at 1 o'clock. Now it's, you either record it or you don't.
Was it,
And-
Mr. Trish, was it Thursday and Saturday that wasn't recording? Because they're Thursday at 6
I'm going to
and
say
Saturday at
absolutely
12.
yes, because Saturday morning is supposed to be on in the morning and
12
Saturday.
o'clock.
12 o'clock.
Excuse me?
12 o'clock on Saturday.
It wasn't on either time.
Okay.
And when it came on, it was in the middle of a presentation with the, I want to say the police department or fire department. There was no pledge of allegiance. There was no public comment.
Well, we'll check, but we didn't change anything, so something may have happened, but we'll get it fixed.
I
We'll
want to
get it-
make sure that what you guys are doing is,
Well, and as
For
you
the
know,
most part-
do you ever go on the website and look, you can
yes,
see them?
Yeah, if
Yes,
you notice
I
on
did that
the-
after Mr. Loman Henry
Notice on the screen
chastised me.
behind you,
Meetings ago, Mr. Loman Henry chastised me and said, go on there and look. And I did. And you know what? I went on there and looked. And I looked at what's coming up later on tonight. And all I seen on there coming up later on tonight was how they're going to bill us and not where the money is going. So I'll be back later to talk to you, but all I'm saying is I watch Lower Paxton TV. I turn it on. I watch the scroll. The scroll has changed. The scroll used to say,
okay, John, we understand, and what we'll do is we will ask Leanne tomorrow.
let me
to-
ask you
to-
this, Mr. Henry.
John.
Did somebody
John,
change the scroll?
John, I listened to you, now you listen to me and don't cut me off. I told you, we hear your concern, and we will ask Leanne tomorrow to check with Comcast to verify the accuracy of the information that is on the scroll, and we'll also verify that the board meetings are re-airing at the appropriate times, and our staff will check that out and make sure that that is occurring. So, other than that, we took no action to change anything, and to the best of our knowledge, nothing has changed. But because you raised the issue, we will double check for you.
And I will go back and check my recordings to see if the scroll was changed.
You may do that, but we'll also check in with Comcast directly to see and verify.
Comcast would not change it. It's Lower Paxton TV.
No, you're not listening to me. We did not change anything, okay? This board, this township did not change anything. We are going to check with Comcast to see if they have changed anything. Now, Leanne is saying they have not, but we will double check.
Okay, then a simple question. Did the scroll in May or March, in March of 2018, did the scroll say the township meetings would be rebroadcast on this date and this date?
John,
and now it's no longer there.
John.
That's all I'm asking,
Let
Mr. Henry.
let me repeat for the
No.
third time. We will check with Comcast and see if they are running the appropriate information on the scroll and whether or not they're airing the program at the appropriate time.
And
That's
if I'm
all we-
wrong, Mr. Henry, I will come up here and bow to your knees. But if
No,
they
no,
changed
no, no, I don't want any
if they
bowing.
didn't change it, who changed it?
No bowing. We hear you.
I think Mr.
We
Wolf wants to
understand what
miss-
your concern is, but you have to let us check into it for you.
I think Mr. Wolf wants to say something.
Well, Mr. Wolf is free to speak at any time he likes,
I didn't have anything to say, sir.
but he has nothing to say. But no, we understand your concern, and Leanne will check into it tomorrow, and we will get back to you. Are there any other? Yes, sir. Mr. Murphy.
Okay, make sure he's not harassing her.
Joe Murphy, Lower Paxton Township Historical Commission. It is the first of the month, and I wanted to remind everybody, our meeting is Thursday at 6 o'clock here in this building, in this room, and this is our first historical presentation that we'll be putting on. We're going to tell the story of the B-26 bomber that crashed into Blue Mountain north of Linglestown in Lower Paxton Township, about the 3 servicemen that lost their lives and what has happened since then. We have 2 presenters from our commission that will present the facts on the crash, but we also have 2 eyewitnesses to the crash that will be here and tell how they, as kids, walked up the mountain and found where the plane had crashed. So it should be a very interesting evening. We're expecting a pretty good sized crowd, but I want everybody at home to know what was going on so they could come and visit us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's very interesting. Do we have any other members of the public who would like to address the board on a matter not on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, we will now move to the agenda. Do any of the board members have any comments not related to PSATs, but any other comments?
I just have a couple. I'd like to thank the Friendship Operating Board for their chili cook-off, Denise Hassar, and all of the employees from the township and the volunteers, Jeff. What a great day on Saturday. We had our first ever chili cook-off. We had a car show and the children's yard sale, and with the weather, we definitely had success. Sometimes people think we just come here and we sit here on Tuesday nights. The board's been very busy the past week. We had Arbor Day last Tuesday night after attending PSATs for 2 days. We were at Arbor Day Tuesday night. We also were guests at the Linglestown Fire Company banquet. Thank you, Bill. And we also, I'm sorry. Then the other thing is the Heroes Grove. I just wanted to say that R.J. Harris on this Saturday will be having Support the Troops. So that's at 12 noon at Heroes Grove. Heroes Grove is over on the top of Bright Hill Park beside the Friendship Center. Mr. Harris had this down at the Capitol, and he moved it 3 years ago to Heroes Grove. And we're very happy that he chose our facility to do Support the Troops. You don't have to pay for parking. That's why it got moved from downtown to here. So there's plenty of parking, and that is Saturday from 12 to 1. I think that's it.
Just to follow up on some of the things that Robin had said that, can you hear me, I think?
No, I think you're, there you
Yeah,
go.
there we are. Robin talked about PSATs, and PSATs is an acronym for Pennsylvania State Association of Township Supervisors, but it's a whole lot easier to say PSATs than that string of words that depict what it is. But anyway, we had our annual conference in Hershey last week, and PSATs and Lower Paxton did very, very well. We all probably know by now that George is retiring at the end of May, and my recommendation was that the chairman give an award for his 28 years of service to this township. So George received the Distinguished Service Award for 28 years at Lower Paxton. So I was on stage to help shake his hand, and thank you, George, for your years. And we're sorry to see you sail off into the sunset, but Marcella is calling, and so do your grandkids. And I know it'll be a transition for you, but you'll do well.
I will.
Thank you for your service.
Any other board member comments?
He's in,
He's over there.
we need to,
In there.
Leanne, we do not want anybody in the broadcast area. That is off limits.
our office.
John, that's not appropriate. Okay, now that takes us to Lower Paxton Township at PSATs, as Mr. Hawk has mentioned already. George Wolf was acknowledged at the conference, receiving the Chairman's Distinguished Service Award. As Bill mentioned, well, actually he didn't mention this part, the award actually was established back in 2000 to honor those individuals who offer their time and talents to the township and to PSATs. The award is only presented,
Sorry.
John, no. Off limits. Now back to George Wolf, whom I'm trying to honor here. The award is, as I understand, Mr. Hawk, not presented every year, and it's only presented for extraordinary service. George, of course, has been with us for 28 years, and that in and of itself is extraordinary. He is legendary among township managers across the state, and we are so pleased, George, that you were so honored by PSATs. It was certainly a much needed and necessary recognition, and congratulations to you for that award. Now, PSATs was sort of almost all Lower Paxton, at least most of the time. As I mentioned, as Robin mentioned, the Board of Supervisors, we were all there, as was George, Leanne, and a number of our staff members were there as well. And we had another member of our board, we had two other members of our board who were recognized in meritorious ways. One is Supervisor Robin Lindsay, and Robin has earned a diploma as a 2018 graduate of the PSATs Municipal Government Academy. Now, the Academy is a unique opportunity for elected officials to garner the tools needed to administer and oversee all aspects of local government. In other words, she really knows what she's doing.
What
And,
do I always say? We're always learning.
and Robin demonstrated that by attending many workshops and seminars. And Mr. Hawk has a certificate to present to her now. Mr. Hawk, would you like to present Robin with her
I would do
diploma?
that. You want to go down front, Robin?
Yep.
Go ahead. Go ahead, after you. Why, as Mr. Henry said, Pennsylvania State Association has established a Pennsylvania Municipal Government Academy. And it's about two and a half years old.
3 years. 60
And
credits.
Robin enrolled to take the courses necessary to become a graduate of that academy. And it's not a small thing because she gets to learn a lot that new supervisors coming on board don't have the opportunity to do. And that's to learn about ordinances and the procedures and all the things that come into township government. And it's a dedication on Robin's part. It's time, it's study, it's taking tests, and Robin diligently, and I'm so proud of this young lady that she made the time and the commitment to do something positive to make her as good a supervisor as she can possibly be. And she's already demonstrated that by her involvement. She's just amazing, and I can't thank her enough for being on the board. But they had their first graduation, and there's the diploma. Robin, they presented it to her, and she's the fourth one from the left. Recognize her.
Can you get us, Leanne?
And it represents a lot of hard work. And I'll tell you what, she's one of the first to go through the course. She's the first for Lower Paxton. And you'll be proud because she doesn't leave a stone unturned. And
Thank you.
Robin,
Appreciate it.
I just can't say enough about you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
I
Mike.
appreciate it. This was the first class for the PMGA. So as you can see, out of the whole state, that's the only people that graduated. And it is a 60-credit course. So it's like going to hack for 2 years, only it takes you three years. And we've been all over the state. Mr. Wolf, thank you for helping. Yeah, it was exciting, and the best thing, I'm sorry, I'm not feeling well. The best thing was meeting other people from all over the state. So when I go to the conference in April, I'm running into people that I took all these classes with. So thank you for the opportunity to allow me to attend. I really appreciate it. So.
You know, it's not often that we get people as dedicated as Robin has been. And again, thanks for
I
your
enjoyed it.
time, your
Yep.
effort, and it even brings tears to my
Yeah.
eyes.
It was definitely a lot of hard work when you've been out of school for 43 years to have that, to take tests. So, but thank you again for the opportunity that I could attend. What? Sure. Joe. Mr. Hawk.
Oh, Bill, they want to
Mr.
get a
Hawk.
picture of you over there.
Oh, I came up.
I'll turn that off.
Yes.
You don't have to kiss me.
Oh, go ahead. Okay, go more. Go to the
Okay,
left.
there we go.
We got to move over.
We good, Leanne?
Can you get it?
Okay.
And if I may mention, Lisa, my son's girlfriend, her dad is a supervisor in Juniata County. Yeah, so she knows a little bit of what's going on and what's happening, so, yep.
Well, Robin, certainly a heartfelt congratulations on your hard work from all of us. And Mr. Murphy, you might want to add something to the roles of the Lower Paxton Township Historical Commission because there was a historical first that occurred at PSATS. For the first time ever, a member of this Board of Supervisors took office as president of PSATS, and that honor went to Mr. William Hawk. Now, Mr. Hawk will serve, it's a one-year term or a two-year term?
Pardon?
Is it a one-year term or a two-year term?
Well, it's a one-year term, and then you're up for re-election for a two-year term, or for a second year. And then after that, you become an exhausted rooster.
An exhausted rooster. So Mr. Hawk will be president of PSATS, assumedly for 2 years. Now, what you need to know is what it takes to get to that point, because prior to being elected president, Bill served as PSAT's first vice president, second vice president, secretary treasurer, and assistant secretary treasurer, as well as chairman and vice chairman of the executive board, and also has served on the association's annual conference planning committee, is a member of the Grassroots Advocacy Network, which addresses legislative issues. All of that took, what, about 13 years? Am I right on that?
Well, closer to 16.
Closer to 16 years to get to the point this past week where he could stand on the stage and be given the gavel as president of PSATS. We are so tremendously proud of you, Bill, and it is an incredible personal and professional accomplishment. Congratulations on your success.
Thank you so much. You almost have that temptation to clap and applaud yourself.
Would you like to say a few words about your ascendancy to the presidency? Do you get like a plane and a helicopter and everything?
You know, when I was first appointed to the executive committee, I never in my life dreamed that I would rise to the presidency. But somewhere along the line, I was looked on favorably and moved up to the officer status,
So that Leanne could take
and then
a
up
picture.
through the
So I'm waiting for it
ranks.
to boot.
And
There we go.
There we go.
it doesn't
There you
end
are.
there.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, there. Oh my gosh, that was my acceptance speech time, I think. But next week, I will be going to Washington D.C. with our executive director, and will probably be appointed to a board in Washington known as National Towns and Townships, which does a lot of lobbying of congressmen, and hopefully, you know, we can make an impact on things that affect townships. So between people like this board, and I can't say enough about this board, we all work together. We don't always agree, but even being disagreeable doesn't mean you can't be friends. And I think we all work together very well. And it's been an honor, Loman. It's been a long haul, but it's you know, it's been worth it. So I think Lower Paxton, and I brag a lot. I think we have probably one of the finest townships in Pennsylvania, and one of the best board of directors or board of supervisors. And we work very hard. And thank all of you for your support.
Well, and Mr. Hawk, we want to thank you for representing us on the board at PSATS. We know you'll do a great job, and we really appreciate everything that you've done for us.
Yeah. Thank you.
Bill, enjoy your next 2 years as president of PSATS, and while you're at the White House, just be careful that the president isn't tweeting about you before you leave.
Just because becoming an exhausted rooster, you still, and that's a made-up term that I've adopted for some reason, but you still get to go to the board meetings, and you get to sit in. You just don't get a vote. You can offer some advice and some counsel, but it's been a great experience, and I thank all of you for giving me that opportunity. You're the people that helped put me here, so thank you.
Well, thank you, Bill, and again, congratulations.
Yeah.
And with that, our outstanding township manager of the year, it's time for the manager's report.
Yeah, we had a lot of firsts.
Board members, just 2 items for our community's interest. First of all, Lower Paxton Township's business meeting for the third Tuesday of this month will be held on May 15th, which does happen to be Election Day. So the board will meet at 7 p.m. on May 15th. Election days are difficult. Sometimes we've met before Election Day. Sometimes we've met the day after Election Day. This year we'll be meeting on Tuesday, May 5th at 7 p.m. And then the Board of Supervisors will be participating with the Lower Paxton Township Friendship Center in the annual Memorial Day Parade that is held by the Linglestown American Legion, and on a route that traverses a large portion of Linglestown. The parade is again on May 28th. I believe it begins at 1 p.m. and should last about an hour and a half. So if it's something that you like to do, see all sorts of community service people, firefighters, police officers, EMTs, as well as high school bands and others participate in the parade. This is an excellent one, and I would encourage all of our community to come out and watch the Memorial Day Parade on May 28th. That's all I have for this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Wolf. That now brings us to old business, and we have at several workshops had presentations by Reftalis Financial Services, and we need to enter into a Phase 2 study for the establishment of a storm water fee. I will, as I always do, make the point that this is a federal mandate and a state mandate. We have no choice but to do this, and they provided us with no funding to do it, and it is extraordinarily expensive. Therefore, we have a decision to make this evening. Mr. Wolf, would you like to set the stage?
Board members, you have completed a Phase 1 study for stormwater improvements, which has given you an estimate of total program needs. Our total program needs for each year in the next 5 years, 2019 and thereon, are estimated to be $3.8 million. That amount could be funded through real estate taxation and increased real estate taxes, or it could be funded through a fee. That fee would be imposed by the Lower Paxton Township Authority and levied with the sanitary sewer bill. Before you this evening is a Phase 2 study. This Phase 2 study is in the amount of $65,000 with a $10,000 contingency. This Phase 2 study would be to implement a stormwater fee as opposed to funding stormwater through real estate taxation. Board members, the estimated fee for the $3.8 million is roughly $32 to $48 per quarter. And of course, a real estate tax increase to pay for the entire $3.8 million would be approximately 1 mil.
And our current millage rate is,
1.95.
so we would have to increase property taxes by 1 mil, or alternatively, place the additional federally mandated fee on sewage bills.
Correct. That is the stage.
That is the stage. So, board members, our decision is, do we wish to finance this via general property taxes, or do we wish to proceed for a fee? The floor is open for discussion.
I would like to offer my suggestion. If we do the fee, then everyone is taxed. The schools are taxed, or excuse me, are paying the fee, and so are the churches. And I feel that if you're going to do a fee on your homeowners, we, the township, would then pay that fee also. So I am in favor in doing a fee because everybody will have to pay that fee, including Lower Paxton Township.
Opinion from other board members?
I would, if you're looking for an opinion.
If you wish to offer. If you don't, that's fine too.
No, I will offer. I support the fee because I think it's fair and equitable for all. The only downside, and that's, is the implementation. With the real estate, it's much easier to collect than it is for the fee. We'll have to set up another office or another person or another agency or some, and I'm not saying any of those, but logistically, we will have to create something else just because we have to bifurcate that. But even I think that going the fee route overpowers, or for me, it provides my impetus for saying that I would support fee, because I think it's fair and equitable, and I think that's what this needs to be.
And if I could just ask before we take a vote on this, I know we're 7 months out, but I think we need to start educating the public now.
Oh,
A
that's
lot
a
of people
given.
do not watch the meetings. A lot of people do not get on the website. So somehow we have to get it out to the public. So,
Well-
excuse me, so come January, you
Yeah,
know.
and I think our chair has done that repeatedly since
know,
we've
but a lot of
started
people
this
don't
Well,
watch
but
discussion.
part of this contract is for the establishment of multiple public meetings, which
Yes.
our Communications Department will be interacting, and Mr. Judd is going to pay particular attention to for us. And we are going to have multiple opportunities to go out and gather public input and explain it to the public. And we, of course, are going to want to start putting information in our quarterly newsletter, sewage bill inserts, et cetera. Always and always pointing out we're not happy about this at all. Not only is it a large expense on the ratepayers, if that's the direction we go of Lower Paxton, it also has proven to be of dubious effectiveness as well. So we feel that we're being forced to pay for something that really doesn't work.
Right, again, I think as you
but-
continually say, and I think it's extremely important, it is one more unfunded mandate.
And to the question tonight, and going forward, we've had many public meetings on this, and it was clear that there are two options. Pay for it through taxes, pay for it through a fee based in part of your impervious land. There was not a realistic third option. There was not a third option that said pay zero. There was not. Our only choice was to figure out how to implement this, how to pay for it. We were not allowed to pick an option to not do either one. So that was clear. And now it's just a matter of how to do it and doing it as intelligently as possible and making sure to the best degree possible that everybody knows before January of next year what's coming, why it's coming, why these numbers will be the numbers that they are. And I'm confident we're lining up everything to do just that. And that's definitely what we owe the people.
Well, much public outreach is going to be required here. However, the situation before us is that the consultant has indicated we have to make a decision by the end of April in order to do this in a timely manner. We've extended the month of April by 1 day already, so we have to make a decision tonight. Is there any other discussion on the issue? If not, then I believe that a vote would be in order, a motion would be in order as to which direction we wish to go so that we can then have that incorporated into the agreement, which we will then vote upon next. So the floor is open for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move we approve the agreement with Raftellus Financial Services for Phase 2 study for the establishment of a stormwater fee.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any public comment before we take a vote? Mr. Minsker?
I'm Bill Minsker, 5956 Lingelstown Road, Lingelstown. I have some questions. Is every municipality in the state facing the same procedure?
No, I don't believe so.
I don't think so.
Isn't it every municipality in the Chesapeake Bay watershed?
Right now, every municipality in the Chesapeake Bay watershed has a TMDL for the Chesapeake Bay that it has to address and reduce sediment by 10% in a 5-year period. Lower Paxton Township is also very fortunate in that we have a TMDL for Paxton Creek, which requires additional treatment on our part, reducing sediment in Paxton Creek by 35% over the next 5 years. There are other municipalities in Pennsylvania that are now starting to feel the effects of DEP and EPA. I know in the western part of the state, the Ohio is the Allegheny and the I forget which three rivers meet in Pennsylvania.
Monongahela,
Monongahela.
Allegheny, and
Allegheny,
Monongahela into
Monongahela.
Ohio.
Into Ohio. They are now starting to, they're probably 2 to 3 years behind us in the regulation, but they will also eventually have a TMDL and additional stormwater requirements to meet.
Thank you. Second question. Do we have any property owners within the township that don't receive sewer bills?
Yes.
How will we then address those people paying their fair share?
We'll enhance our database to make sure that we have all property owners. We do have, of course, all properties in the township from the real estate tax records. So we can certainly develop a billing base for that.
I think we have 2,500 septic systems, is
I
Mr.
know
Weaver.
there were some figures that were floated around
He's
at
on
earlier
2,500, yeah.
meetings.
Yeah. And-
Okay.
And I just wanted to your first question, Hampton Township already has a stormwater fee, and Sweater Township also has a stormwater fee. I did get a call and wanted to know if we were looking at going this way, why is ours so much higher? Because we have a bigger obligation than the other townships do. So that's why ours is going to be, our stormwater fee is going to be a little higher.
To my understanding, in central Pennsylvania, other than Susquehanna and the city of Harrisburg, all party to Paxton Creek, no other municipalities have the Chesapeake Bay and a stream TMDL in our general vicinity.
My third and final question. When Linglestown had its $6 million project, your Village of Linglestown Committee was responsible for the project. We mandated that all properties that were connected to the project connect their stormwater runoff into the township's drainage system. So we should have very few properties in Linglestown that have runoff that's not going somewhere that it shouldn't go.
That's not exactly how it works. It's not that runoff, actually, by the new standards and best management practices, groundwater is supposed to be introduced into the ground itself and recharge aquifers. The actual piping of groundwater and stormwater into streams is what accelerates erosion, creating more sedimentation and the need for, in DEP and EPA's mind, the TMDLs for Paxton Creek and the Chesapeake Bay. So what we did 10 years ago is not what would be encouraged today.
So properties such as a farm that would have very little impervious area. Rain would go into the soil.
Well, a farm is a bad example because it's disturbed soil.
So the erosion is an issue then.
Our TMDLs in Paxton Creek and the Chesapeake Bay are for sediment. We have to reduce sediment by 10%, our contribution to the Chesapeake Bay, and 35% to Paxton Creek.
So then we should be encouraging people to channel all of their stormwater runoff into the township system.
No. We should try to hold stormwater on site and let it infiltrate into the ground.
Aha.
Yeah, that's why the fee will be based on how much it can percolate into the ground and how much is being run off.
And this was the basis for my third question. If a property is now doing that where most of its stormwater is going into the ground, not going into the township system, not running off onto the road or whatever, those property owners will receive some type of a benefit for this?
That has yet to be determined. That's what will be part of this Phase 2 process.
I know we've talked, this has been discussed at some of the earlier
Yes.
meetings.
Yes, that has not been determined yet, but it's
Okay.
a possibility.
Thank you very much.
Anybody else? Okay, there would be a motion and a second on the floor that we proceed on the basis of establishing a stormwater management, federally mandated stormwater management fee as opposed to a property tax hike. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, now we need to take action on approving the consulting agreement with Reftelis. Do we have a motion to approve the consulting agreement with Reftelis Financial Services for the Phase 2 study?
Yeah. That was my motion for the agreement.
Actually, I thought the motion was that, did you include that in with the fact that we're,
My motion was to approve the agreement with Reftelis for the Phase 2 study for the establishment of a stormwater fee.
okay, yeah, well, I had asked for motions, two different motions, but we
Okay.
combined them into one.
Okay.
So we need to take no further action, Mr. Stein?
No, just, was there a second to that motion?
Yes.
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 Okay, then you're
Okay.
ready to vote.
Okay, thank you. That being the case, then we'll move on to new business. And under new business,
Mr. Chairman?
yes,
I think you have to take a vote of the whole board.
we did.
We did vote.
Oh, did, I
We
don't,
just voted.
I think
Oh, did
Shelley
we?
recorded the vote.
Yes,
did we say aye?
yes.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I guess I didn't
No,
hear.
it's- It's okay.
That's okay.
Everybody voted. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not hearing good either.
We're good.
We're changing motions. and
Okay, it's
voting and
okay.
Not voting and not.
All right.
Just to clarify for anybody who is listening, we have voted to approve the agreement with Reftelis to move forward with the next phase to determine how we will implement the fee structure. And we did unanimously vote on that
Okay.
agreement.
I'm sorry.
No, that's quite all right. Okay, now I believe we are ready. Mr. Weaver is anxious to get on to item A, proposals for survey, design, and construction. We're going to talk about ADA curb ramps.
Correct, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. The Sewer Department issued a request for proposals for ADA ramp, curb ramp survey, design, and inspection services for the BC 2A, 2B, 2C, and 5B mini basin sewer replacement project. As the board may recall, when existing streets and sidewalks and pedestrian crossings are altered in conjunction with this work, it requires improvements as part of the ADA regulations. The previous streets and sidewalks were constructed prior to the 1990 ADA regulations. So therefore, anytime a street is upgraded, which basically just means when we pave it after the sewer work, it actually requires the sewer authority to do the ADA ramps. So the township gets a nice benefit because the township actually owns the ramps. So due to the complexities of the survey, design, and inspection of the curb ramps, it was recommended that the sewer department seek RFPs from firms that actually specialize in ADA ramps. GHD had previously performed this work, and they were not interested in providing a proposal because, again, it really wasn't their specialty, but they did perform the task as part of the sewer construction projects. So the scope of services required 4 tasks, again, survey, design, technical specs, and construction inspection. A total of 3 proposals were received on April 25th. In your packet, you'll find that the lowest price for the task 1 and 3 was provided by HB Engineering Incorporated, and the amount of $15,045. And staff has reviewed the qualifications for HB Engineering, and it appears that they are more than qualified for this assignment based on their successful completion of similar scope of work in over 2,000 ramp projects with PennDOT and local municipalities. And in the memo in your packet, the Table 1 summarizes the 3 proposals, which were from HB Engineering, again, $15,045. Daywood Engineering was $26,800, and HRG was $30,567. And in addition to those 3 tasks, that 4th task of construction inspection, it really wasn't possible to get a proposal for that other than hourly rates, because you never know what you're going to get into during the construction process. So we basically just asked for a rate table, and HB engineering rates were either equal to or less than the firms from Daywood and HRG. Therefore, staff is recommending that the board approve the proposal from HB Engineering and authorize the sewer department director to enter into an agreement with HB Engineering in the amount of $15,045 with additional compensation to be provided based on the rate table for inspection services. And finally, should be noted that these services are considered professional and are not subject to the competitive bidding requirements. As such, the board does not have to retain the services of the low bidder. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Have we ever used HB Engineering?
We have not.
Okay.
They specialize in ramps. They found a big need for PennDOT and municipalities to do this design work. So that's how we found out about them. So we again just started doing the curb ramp projects as part of the sewer replacement, and we had some issues with contractors and not understanding what was involved with the design and the technical specs, and we felt it was better to get somebody that specializes in this area, because the ramps are pretty complex with slopes and TIFs and road slopes, so it gets to be a little complicated, so we felt it best.
Just tell us, Mr. Weaver, where is the BC2, ABC, and BC5B approximately?
Okay, that would be everything just north of 22, behind Holy Name, and goes all the way up to including Blue Ridge Avenue and Locust Lane, and goes east to Wenrick Street.
Okay.
So it's about 675 properties.
Okay, thank you.
Why, whenever you see such a divergency in bid prices, I mean, HRG was more than twice HB Engineering. Do you have any explanation for why there was such a variance in the pricing?
We can't predict exactly what the pricing is going to be when it comes to RFP services, but generally speaking, it really depends on their workload. And I know, again, HB they specialize in this, and they're a very small firm, and they don't have a whole lot of overhead, so that helps.
That helps.
Yep. We're really satisfied with the price because they've done a lot of work, and as you pointed out, we're saving a lot of money. And they were qualified.
I have two questions.
Yes.
And I want to piggyback on what Ms. Lindsay was asking you with regard to HP. I know that you have said that we have not used them. Have you spoken with anyone who has used them, and have you gotten positive results rather than going in totally unknown?
Yes, we have checked their references. They asked us to call, ironically, Camp Hill Borough, which is Sam Robbins works there, who was a previous employee at Lower Paxton, and also PennDOT. So we reached out to both those folks, and they didn't have any issues with HB Engineering.
Excellent. Okay, my second question has to do with not only the bid of $15,045, it's the additional comments. I would appreciate just a little explanation that says with additional compensation to be provided based on the rate table for inspection services. Can you just give me a little more definition of what that phrase means?
I can.
Only because it means dollars and cents to me.
So in your packet, there's a pricing form, and they listed under Task 4 each staff position with an hourly rate. So the hourly rate for the project manager is $115 an hour, the engineer $95, and then the actual inspector is $90. So that is a fixed hourly rate. So that what we're asking you to approve as part of this agreement is this table, which therefore would be calculated on time and materials for that, which would just basically hours of inspection.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
There just seems to be a wide range of differences in prices from task 1, 2, and 3. Do they know something we don't know?
I spoke to the owner today, and she has told me that they have done over 5,000 ramps in the last 7 or 8 years. So that's a lot of ramps. That's pretty much their go-to task.
Yeah.
Okay, do we have any
It's
other
actually a lot of
questions?
ADA.
Yeah, that sure is.
It's actually a lot of ADA.
Yeah. Mr. Judd, do you have anything? Okay, if we have no additional questions, any public comment? Do we have a motion from the board?
Mr. Chairman, I'll move we approve HB Engineering, Inc. to complete survey and design and construction inspections of the ADA curb ramps for BC 2A, B, and C, BC 3B sanitary sewer and mini basin project in the amount of $15,045 with additional compensation to be provided based on the rate table for inspection services as presented by Mr. Weaver.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mrs. Lindsay. Any additional questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Weaver. And that takes us to item B under new business. We need to take action on bids for the 2018 stormwater project. Mr. Wolf.
Board members, Mr. Klein and Jason Hines were in attendance at your last workshop meeting to review the stormwater projects and the bid specifications for those projects. As you are aware, the vast majority of work to be performed by the township this year will be in the Claremont neighborhood. The lowest responsible bid of the 4 bids received for the work in accordance with the bid specifications, and this includes the recommended alternate, is $2,228,615.50. The base bid amount was $2,070,015.50 with an alternate of $158,600, and these bids have been submitted by Ebersol Excavating Incorporated. The engineer's estimate for work on the base bid only is $2,390,000 plus. So it's staff's recommendation, and it's supported by the engineer's memorandum this evening, that the board award a bid to Ebersol Excavating Incorporated in the amount for the base bid and the bid alternate in the amount of $2,228,615.50. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to address them. I can tell you that HRG has vetted Ebersol Excavating, although they have not worked for Lower Paxton Township in the past. They have met HRG's background investigation.
Where are they from, George?
I don't know.
Any additional questions or comments?
Question, Mr. Wolf, I think I know the answer, but I'd still like to hear it. And that is that between you and Mr. Stein, and all the documents have been completed, and the bidder has provided all the necessary documentation so we don't run into any problems later on.
The bid package is complete, and there were no issues.
Okay, good. Because I know sometimes we can run into occasional, I just want to make sure it's clean. Okay, I'm fine, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
You ready for a motion?
Anybody else have a question? Any public comment? Seeing none, Chair will entertain a motion for approving the bid for our 2018 stormwater projects.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move we approve the 2018 stormwater project, this 2018 stormwater project be awarded to Ebersol Excavating, Inc. with the base bid of $2,070,115.50 with the alternate of $158,600, or a total bid including base bid and the alternate of $2,228,615.50. That's presented by Mr. Wolf.
Mr. Chrisman has made a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Judd. Any additional comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
In answer to Mrs. Lindsay's question, Ebersol is located on Hershey Road in Elizabethtown.
All right, so they're local.
Yeah, they are local.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wolf. Okay, that will now take us to item C, subdivision and land development. We have a declaration of consolidation of previously subdivided lots for Mr. Gary Beck at 6900 Blue Ridge Avenue.
Board members, this is very simple. This is taking 4 lots, all owned by Mr. Beck, 2 of which are landlocked and subdivided in the 1980s, and creating 1 lot of 36,653 square feet.
It's straightforward.
Very straightforward. It would be something that we would encourage, and it eliminates unnecessary lot lines. Given that this is a deed of consolidation, declaration of consolidation, there is no subdivision plan required.
Right. It's rather straightforward,
It
Mr.
does seem
Chairman.
to be very
Sure.
straightforward.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move we approve the declaration of consolidation of the previously subdivided lots, Plan 2018-03, for 6900 Blue Ridge Avenue as presented.
Mr. Chrisman has motioned that we approve the declaration of consolidation. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any public comment? Any additional board questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
And I assume nobody is opposed. That brings us to improvement guarantees, et cetera, et cetera. We have a couple. There is a pause. So, anybody have any comments or questions about the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 improvement guarantees? We have,
My only question is to Mr. Wolf, is there anything exceptional? I did not see anything out of the ordinary.
There's nothing out of the ordinary. It's the last one for Maiden Creek, a development
That's
off of
new.
Lighters Lane, is it's a maintenance bond for the dedication of a street, and the other 4 are improvement guarantees for subdivision improvements. But there's nothing out of the ordinary,
They were all increases or reductions or extensions,
except the last one, which is
which
new.
is the new one.
New bond.
But thank you for the comment on the new bond.
any additional comments or questions, any public input? Seeing none, we'll take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move we approve the 5 improvement guarantees as presented.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. The improvement guarantees have been approved. That brings us to item D, payment of bills. Madam Treasurer.
I'll make a motion, we pay the bills of Lower Paxton Township and Lower Paxton Township Authority.
Second.
Second. Did I miss something?
No.
No, he's the assistant treasurer. I was merely reminding him to make the second on the bills.
Oh, okay.
He's looking out for me. He's looking out for me.
He's looking out for you? Okay. Okay, well, we've never had a controversy over the payment of bills motion before, but there's a first time for everything. It has been moved and seconded that we pay the bills of Lower Paxton Township and the Lower Paxton Township Authority. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. Any announcements by anybody? Seeing none, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we are now standing adjourned. Thank you all.
God's sake.